Welcome to Stone Upon Stone. Previously, I talked about alternatives to reality and how buying into them has led to great conflict. There are many lies that we tell ourselves. And varying degrees of false composition and severity of impact for these lies, but they are all lies, and they all hurt us and keep us from finding peace and truth. So what are these lies that we tell ourselves? I can't is one of the big lies that we tell ourselves. It's one of the biggest. We tell ourselves this, and we tell others this. Sometimes this lie comes out of a fear, and sometimes it comes out of laziness. But other times it comes from an inability to see our own potential. Or to see the power of who is inside us. Either way, this lie keeps us from trying. Keeps us from doing things that we are able to do. Maybe you can't do what you're saying you can't. But if you don't even try, you never will, even when you have the ability. This is the way I am is a similar lie, but it tends more toward laziness and lack of ambition than toward fear. You can change, and you should. If the person that you are behaving as is not going where you want to be, then you should change. I need to hold on to this clutter is marginally similar, but more widely practiced. It's a more widely practiced lie, but it's still a lie. We keep many things in our lives that do us no good. And keep us from having that same space, physical or emotional, for things that will benefit us and those around us. We have other lies, of course. I need to hold on to this attitude. I don't need to change. People should accept me for the way I am. I need to hold on to this hurt. If I forget what someone did to me, it'll be like it didn't matter. I need to cope in this way. That's another lie. If we get married, or if we have a kid, she'll change her ways. Or he will. People generally don't change because you want them to. They generally only change when they want to. If I change, she'll respect me. No, the only way to change whether someone respects you, ironically, is to stop caring whether they respect you. People will only respect you when you are confident in yourself, in your own behavior. Now, that doesn't mean that they will respect you just because you are confident. Because respect can also be destroyed by not doing things that are respectable. But they definitely won't respect you if you're modifying your behavior solely to attempt to receive their respect. People can see through that kind of thing, and it doesn't bring respect. Another lie: other people are hurting me more than my own choices are. Blaming other people for your faults, your failings, your inability to succeed in something doesn't help you to do the things that you need to do in order to improve. Other people don't understand my struggles is another lie. Other people don't understand my brilliance. See, if other people were smarter, they'd understand that I'm right. This is usually a lie. People can understand your struggles. People can understand the concepts that are going through your head. You may not be explaining them well, and that may be hindering people from getting a good grasp of what you're trying to say. But you're not the only one who can understand you. And telling yourself this lie keeps you from having the humility to look for where you're wrong. Because if you think people disagree with you because they're stupid, you won't examine your positions. And we all need to examine our positions when people disagree with us to see if we're wrong. Other people don't care about these things as much as I do, is another lie. There are people out there who care just as much as you do. And some of them are people who disagree with you on how problems should be solved. Some of the people who disagree with you on how the problem should be solved care as much or more than you do. So don't believe that lie. Disagreeing with you is not an indication by itself that people don't understand or that they don't care. They may just have a different idea about how the problem should be solved. And they might be right. They might have a better idea about the problem than you do. It's possible. It does sometimes happen. All of these lies are an attempt to define our own reality. And we've seen already that defining your own reality leads to problems much more often than it leads to solutions. So we need to not define our own reality, but instead live in the reality where we do. So how can we improve our lives by living in reality instead of fantasy? If that isn't obvious, let's talk about a few ways. When we live in reality, we avoid disappointments that come from faulty expectations. We make better choices as we forgo painting things falsely by our desires. We have more space when we live in reality because we get rid of useless things. We have more success because we move beyond useless excuses. We have more peace. Because we let go of useless emotions and attitudes. We have more respect because we act according to our character instead of according to somebody else's ideals or whims. We have more humility because we give up on false loftiness and struggle, intellect, and caring. Other people know as much as you, care as much as you, are working as hard as you. We have more honesty when we live in reality. Because we're always looking critically at our assumptions. When we live in reality, we also get more intimacy. We get more intimacy with our friends and loved ones because faulty standards lead to anger, and anger rarely leads to intimacy. On the other hand, when we live in reality, we accept and express vulnerability. Vulnerability, found at times through admitting that our ideas of reality are sometimes erroneous. And that we don't know everything. Those admissions lead to relatability. They lead to humility. And relatability and humility both foster intimacy. On the other hand, from falter standards is vulnerability. So when we face reality with those around us, we grow closer to them. We do that as vulnerability and humility brings us closer understanding of the thoughts and feelings of others. And if they're on the same seeking course as you, you grow toward reality and truth together. Now, anger, as we've seen, blocks intimacy because it sets us apart from those around us, so we see them as thems. We see them as thems who don't see things our way. That leads to anger. Leads to us cutting ourselves off from them. When we ostracize others because they don't agree with us, we are also ostracizing ourselves. Ostracism cuts its victim and its bearer. It makes a very bad weapon because it hurts the one who wields it. Now, most people don't recognize this, but it is nonetheless true. So, if living in reality brings so many benefits, why don't we do it more often? Why do we avoid reality? Listen to lies and get angry when people try to tell us the truth. Why do we do this? I think it boils down to a desire to avoid responsibility. Living in reality is hard. We can't make the choices that we want without consequences. We can't make choices without affecting other people's opportunities. We can't have everything we want. And we can't define reality. And for some people, this is very uncomfortable. For some people, this is very uncomfortable. We can't define reality, and sometimes reality isn't what we think it ought to be. But reality isn't about what we think it ought to be. Not only is reality not about what we think it ought to be, it's necessary. Think about it. Reality gives us structure. We can't make plans without being able to rely on things behaving in a certain way. If we don't have reality, if we don't have absolute truth, we can't plan because we can't predict what will happen when we take certain actions. Not only is it necessary, it's more comfortable than the alternative. People of all ages become insecure when things that they rely on suddenly are not there. So we need structure. Boundaries, those things that get in our way, are actually what allow us to get things done and reach goals. If you have no boundaries, you will never have peace. But in order to have boundaries, that we can rely on, we need to cultivate them. In order to have structure and boundaries, we need to be responsible and we need to be accountable. Join me next time when I'll discuss how we can have peace through taking responsibility for our actions.